Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for watching. Uh, Today I wanted to talk about why being misunderstood is not always a bad thing. First off, for a long time I've always felt misunderstood. You know, I've talked to many different people, had many different friends come and go and, in and out of my life, and um, it's confusing, it's scary, it hurts sometimes, but if you feel misunderstood a lot, you know, I mean, I've been called every name in the book, crazy, narcissistic, psychopath, you name it, anything you can think of. Um, but sometimes what I realized is people don't always understand you because they'll say stuff like that because they don't understand what you're going through or what you're trying to say. Like, I'm one of those people that have a lot of good insight, but the words don't come as quick to the mind. So sometimes when I say something, it might be a little confusing, but what I'm thinking or trying to say is something completely different. Um, and why it's not always a bad thing to be misunderstood, I'm going to tell you the pros of being misunderstood. Um, Sometimes it's good for people not to understand you because having an understanding to yourself is what really matters. Growing up, my parents always told me, your opinions are what matter to yourself. And I would ask, like, what? I don't think anybody's opinions matter. But now I understand, you know, to yourself it matters, which is implying, like, your own thoughts are what matter, too, basically. And, so do other people's to themselves. But does your opinion always mean you're right? No. And, for a long time, I would try to look for advice from other people or try to have people agree with me, and that would never turn out well. You know, Nowadays I don't look for self reassurance from other people. It just doesn't work that way. And you know, I used to be very like closed minded about things. Like if someone came to me and tried to give me advice, I would immediately shut it out inside my head. And I'd listen to what they would have to say, but I wouldn't take the advice. But if it's good advice nowadays, even if I don't like the person, even if the person bothers me or irritates me, and it's good advice, I'll take it and run with it. And I've been through a lot in my life. Going in and out of group homes and coming homeless. It hasn't been easy. It's been chaotic. Um, and I'm kind of lost in life right now. Just kind of figuring out where to go from here. I didn't become homeless because of, drugs or alcohol or any addiction. It's just been a lot of bad financial decisions and not having a lot of support either. But now I'm starting to get support, and I'm looking for the right things to go toward instead of turning toward the bad things like, drug or alcohol or any worse decisions that would put me in a worse predicament. And I've had a lot of bad relationships, but I've learned a lot from those bad relationships than having a good one yet. I mean, most people think, when you go through a bad relationship, it's the end of the world. But I'm starting to realize now, like, you could take what you experienced from those bad relationships and learn from them when you go into good relationships and know, hey, if I go into a good relationship and I learn from these bad relationships I've had, then I can predict the outcome of what something bad would look like coming from a relationship. So, you know, it's a very positive way of looking at something bad. And I've had a very chaotic, confusing, misunderstanding life, but out of all the bad things that have happened to me, I've learned from every single one of them. And my advice to you would be, if you ever feel misunderstood or someone calls you crazy, just understand that, the only thing that really matters is what you think to yourself, as long as it helps you and guides you down the right path. It's what really matters, and don't be anything else for anybody else except yourself. And I learned from middle school, I was not a kid that really fit in with other kids, I got made fun of a lot, bullied for the way I dressed and the things I liked. I was never really a sports kid in school. I mean, I was just kind of a dork, compared to other kids. I mean, I was a skateboarder, I mean, back then, early 2000s, if you're a skateboarder, it was like not very cool. But nowadays, like if you could do an ollie or a pop shove it or a kickflip, like you're like the coolest kid in school, But it was tough for middle school for me, and I was always myself, no matter what people told me, and I didn't really care about what people really thought. I mean, I never really been a sports person myself, I would sit in front of the TV with my mom. She would be like, screaming at the TV, with the Mountaineers, not doing a play right or something, and I would get bored. I'd get bored because I would never find it fascinating about what the other team was doing against the other team, and I was just one of those kids that really kind of kept to themselves and did their own thing. Never really followed what other people did, and that kind of made me an easy target for other kids. And I felt misunderstood. And as an adult, being older, I still feel misunderstood. You look around, and some people never leave school. Like I have friends that will talk about like, hey, remember this in high school and this and that, and I'd be like, yeah, but we're kind of in the real world now, But now I think about it, like there are college kids that act the same way, and adults that act the same way, and so you stop to think to yourself, do you really ever leave school? I never really cared for classes and stuff and what they were teaching. I never stopped learning things. I just always learned to do things differently that would work out for me, I always find it interesting that they never taught finances in school. I mean, that they taught economics, but never like how to handle your money properly or how to live on your own as an adult. I mean, that would be very useful nowadays. But, it's been tough. It really has. And if you're struggling, just know that things will fall into place, not on their own. I mean, I hear this, like, things will get better. Things will just magically fall into place. And I'm like, not really. I mean, you got a part in it. I mean, yeah, things do get better as long as you put the effort toward into making it better, too. I mean, there's science, cause and effect. I that's real, One thing leads to another, and I think if you put a little bit of effort towards something, or you figure out what works for you instead of listening to all the noise around you, and that's when you start to figure out things. Once you figure out that it's all noise around you, that's when things start to fall into place. And don't take my word for it. You got to figure it out for yourself. But I'm not telling you to do it all alone. You know, nobody does it alone. You know, you're your own essence, you know. But we're all the same in the same way, you know, like all humans bleed, all humans breathe in and out, but we're all our own individual essence, our own soul. You know, fashion is one thing, trends are one thing, but what, you know, overthrows all of that is style, your own style, who you are as a person. That makes you stand out from others. And yeah, it gets lonely. You know, it gets very lonely, it gets tough, you become very misunderstood. You feel like people can't connect to you or you can't connect to other people. But eventually the right people will come along, the ones that do connect. It's way less energy than trying to be something you're not and then connecting with all these people that don't really know who you are. And they don't know you're hiding a fabricated self, you know, and just be yourself. It's way less energy. It sucks. It's lonely. But eventually you'll find the right people who click with you. And you'll have way healthier and better relationships that way. And speaking of relationships or friendships, it should never be about transaction. You know, you shouldn't go to a friend because you want something from them in return. Yeah, sometimes you do want help from friends, but that's not what it should always be about.